Phlegmatics are some of the easiest people to get along with, and in this podcast, we are going to further discover the natural wiring of a true phlegmatic. After listening to the 4 temperament summaries I outlined in my podcast titled Wired Step 2, you may already be labeling yourself as this particular temperament. However, I urge you not to box yourself into believing that you are solely a phlegmatic, as nearly all of us are a blend of at least 2 of the 4 temperaments. For your benefit, I created a document titled Character Traits and posted it under the Downloads tab of my website, thriveintherealworld.com. As you listen to this podcast, use the document to follow along, focusing on the phlegmatics column. Circle any of the words or phrases as described in this podcast that speak directly to you. Let's begin. Phlegmatics are accommodating, even-tempered, and keepers of the peace. They speak the language of calm and harmony and influence their environment by offering a sense of balance and cooperation. They are great mediators as they can recognize all sides of an issue. Generous, kind, and compassionate make phlegmatics perfect candidates for service projects, although they will rarely volunteer to lead a group or a project. Phlegmatics are reserved with their emotions and opinions, and are pleasant team members due to their friendly, supportive, and caring attributes. When given a task, phlegmatics are reliable and consistent. They work at their own pace and will stubbornly slow down if rushed or pushed. They strongly resist change and need ample time to adjust, especially if the change is sudden. Phlegmatics think practically, literally, and traditionally. They detest bragging and would never glorify themselves, as no one is more important than the other. Phlegmatics can be patient to the point of paralysis. They tend to be hesitant, indifferent, and often procrastinate. Due to their passive nature, phlegmatics lack a sense of urgency and are not typically ambitious, seldom exerting themselves or trying to advance in their careers. They seek a life free of worry and conflict and avoid taking on responsibility or making decisions. Phlegmatics typically have just a few close friends and can be quite possessive of both loved ones and material things. As introverts, they prefer a private, low-key lifestyle centered around home and family. They are loyal and forgiving, finding it difficult to break off relationships regardless of what the other person does or doesn't do. However, once a relationship is broken, they seldom return. Due to their low energy, phlegmatics can be viewed as sluggish, lazy, unenthusiastic, and boring. They often lack self-motivation and the desire to get too involved. They are insecure in their abilities and are the first to admit weakness. Having trouble finding direction, passion, or purpose, phlegmatics are easily overlooked or ran over by the other temperaments. They can be quite sarcastic with their mumbled remarks, yet their poker face allows them to hide their true feelings. Phlegmatics are both deliberate and indirect when responding to others. They often blame themselves if peace is interrupted and tend to apologize even when it isn't their fault. Phlegmatics are the most agreeable and submissive of the 4 temperaments, yet they can easily be taken advantage of and are prone to be on the receiving end of abuse. Hopefully, after listening to this podcast along with the 3 other podcasts individually titled Choleric, Melancholy, and Sanguine, you have been able to circle quite a few words and phrases listed on the Character Traits document. The ultimate goal is for you to narrow down your selections to reveal your dominant character traits, as these are the ones that influence the way you relate and communicate on a daily basis. Check out my next 2 podcasts titled 7 Areas Part 1 and 7 Areas Part 2, where I compare cholerics to sanguines and phlegmatics to melancholies. I believe you will not only see yourself in some of the descriptions, but might just recognize a few people you know.